The race is on to elect new leadership now in another part of the country. The ANC Greater Johannesburg region is holding its 15th conference this weekend. Today's agenda focuses on the adoption of credentials before the nomination and voting processes. The party is still reeling from the deaths of top members in recent months. eNCA's Lindokuhle Xulu is monitoring the proceedings there and joins us now for an update. And Lindo, high praise from the ANC provincial chairperson for the region ahead of what he says should be a conference with solutions. It's if you compare then the provincial chairperson's tone in relation to this conference and you compare it with what he had to say about the Ekurhuleni one and comparing it to a war zone, it's chalk and cheese.
That the volume in terms of our comms is quite low, but I could pick up some of the things you are asking, including the fact that the ANC chairperson in the province of Gauteng, that is as well as the Premier, David Makhura, is in fact the person who opened this particular conference. What he said was that in fact he must first of all commend the ANC in the region of Johannesburg for actually being able to get off to a peaceful start, relatively speaking, of course, in terms of what had happened last week when it comes to some of the branches and branch members that had disrupted the Ekurhuleni conference. But it's a different picture here. Makhura, first of all, started by saying that it is all good here. Thumbs up to the Johannesburg regional coordinators as well as the task team for ensuring that they sorted out their disputes. Despite having 2 postponements, they have been able to sort out their disputes, and today they are having that relatively peaceful conference. But more than anything, he spoke about a lot of things, a lot of issues that are faced by this region. One of those, of course, is the issue of governance, saying that they've lost governance, they've lost the trust of the people, and this is all because of some of the activities that people are privy to when it comes to the contestations as well as the factions within the ANC. So he was speaking about the fact that more than anything, this conference should not just be focused on electing new leadership in the region, but it should be focused on presenting solutions when it comes to governance, when it comes to the national activities of trying to lobby for unity, but also in terms of trying to come up with some of the progressive policies of the ANC in terms of what their stance is when it comes to the national outlook of the policies of the ANC. So Makhura did give them a warning to say that this should not be about leadership selection, but it should focus on presenting solutions on the problems that are facing many regions within Gauteng, but also the problems that are facing many regions across the country. Take a listen to Makhura giving us a sense really of what he wants this conference to present as far as solutions are concerned.
The ANC here in Johannesburg has lost power. We have lost power in the city of Johannesburg. It's an important question of analysis of the balance of forces. The city is in the hands of a coalition. And the ANC needs to reorganize and rebuild itself and wake up and smell the coffee. We have no time for fights amongst ourselves and squabbles, endless squabbles. We don't have that time. We have to prioritize, we have to come out of this conference with a sense of urgency that we are and the issues on the ground are difficult. The coalition government is not responding to issues of service delivery on the ground. It's not responding to those issues. Some of the things the ANC has been doing on the ground, addressing this issue there. We know how busy our former mayors, the departed mayors have been on the ground. We have seen them on the ground. We don't see the same. So, comrades, but how do we win public confidence and regain the trust of the people of Johannesburg? We can only do so if we review the state of organization and pay attention to the rejuvenation and renewal of the ANC in Johannesburg.
So as we watch these conferences, Lindo, it's quite clear that in the minds of the leadership, especially in the mind of the provincial chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, David Makhura, 2024, the general and provincial elections is foremost in his mind. What is he saying about what the stakes are for 2024?
Well, it is quite clear to us that in terms of saying that these issues must be sorted in terms of the unity within the ANC, in terms of regaining governance in some of these areas, what Makhura was essentially lobbying for was to say that the ANC needs to clean up its house and clean up its act in terms of how they've been behaving and how they've been perceived in terms of the general public aspect. But what he was saying was that all of this will culminate into what type of result they'll be able to, in fact, get when it comes to the 2024 elections. So he was speaking about the fact that all of those who are concerned about the ANC must, in fact, contribute towards bringing about these solutions that will ensure that they regain public trust before going to 2024, because he himself admitted that if things go as they are, if there are these internal and factions within the ANC, battles within the ANC, then there is not going to be a good result for the ANC when it comes to the 2024 elections. So he was basically saying that all of the solutions that are presented here should work for the greater good of the ANC, especially in regaining the trust of the people that will be the ones that are voting for them when it comes to the 2024 elections. Take a listen again to some of those sentiments shared by the ANC chairperson in the Gauteng province.
There are issues that we must pay urgent attention to because 2024 is around the corner. And if we don't pay attention to certain things, including the way we conduct ourselves, including the kind of image we project of the ANC that's not concerned about people's concerns, if we don't pay attention to that, we must forget about winning 2024 elections. This conference, therefore, you are meeting here to prepare for war. This conference is meeting to prepare for war, that battle for 2024 elections. You are also meeting here to work out a strategy. How do you regain power? How do we regain public confidence in Johannesburg? But also, how do we regain that coalition in Johannesburg is very fragile, extremely fragile. A more coherent ANC can come back in Johannesburg in no time. We know that the local government elections, we won most of the wars, but the reality is that people did not turn out. In large areas where the ANC historic social base is, people didn't come out. And we must not blame the communities. We mustn't blame the voters. When they look at the things we do, they say, this is not ANC.
All right, more extensive reporting from our teams on the ground there. eNCA's Lindokuhle Xulu is watching the Johannesburg regional conference of the ANC. We'll leave it there for now, Lindo. And I can tell you that Pulele Chweti-Jones is watching the Tshwane leg of the ANC provincial and regional conferences in the build-up to their main conference in December 2022.